here. Can you hear me? If you can't hear me, show us the new floor. You've seen the new floor if you watch my other channel. It's been on several times. So I'm not moving from this spot because I'm stark naked from the waist down. Well, actually, not completely naked. Can you hear me? Can't hear. What? Oh, for goodness sake. You can hear. Look, if you can see and hear me, please say bollocks. I've never had this. Oh, Audrey can hear. Can you see me though? Right. Bollocks is being said. Bollocks. I need my glasses back on now. Oh, well, I was telling all sorts of things and now I've completely forgotten. Well, I was saying earlier that I've been at my mother's for a week that turned into 2 weeks. So I won't bother going through all that palaver again. What was I saying? Forgotten. God. I'm going to get, well, I've been looking at those little microphones. They do them for iPad and iPhone. I'm doing this on an iPad. But Amazon, for about 35 nicker, sell a pair of little Dubris microphones you clip to your nipple here or something, clip to your chest hair, and then another bit that goes in the the bit at the lightning connector or whatever it is. So I might invest in one of those. That would help. I was telling everyone about my marvelous weight loss. I don't think it shows yet. I've lost 6 kilograms, folks. 6 kilograms without even trying on my 1 meal a day diet, 1 meal and a pudding. I've been fairly good, although at my mother's I sort of lapsed a bit, had the odd crisps and thingies because they were in the house. At home, I don't have those sort of things, so I can't lapse. So yeah, just eating one main meal a day and nothing else apart from liquids, coffee, black coffee. I'm trying some herbal teas, water. Yeah, I've lost. When I started this, I was 77.1 kilograms, and I'm now 71.3, I think, but still above what I should be. I've still got a belly, but it's going, it's going. Without even trying. I did get out a lot more at my mother's, nearly every day, apart from a couple of days. We went for a long walk with the dogs because I had my 2 dogs and obviously her dogs. So yes, I've vlogged for my mum's the last 2 weeks, so I will be cobbling together something. It's mainly me in the loft or carport or garage sorting stuff out. I was there for a week, but I decided I'm never going to finish what I need to do in a week, so I decided to stop another week. Mark was very happy about that. And in 4 weeks, I'm going back because my mum's going down south and I've got to go and look after her dogs. So I'll be back on my own this time. So I'll be able to get more videoing done when I've got the house to myself. I've got lots of videos to finish, vacuum videos mainly. I might live vlog from there when I'm there. So Mark's watching some bloody program on the Beeb. Well, it's on iPlayer. I introduced him to it. It popped up and I said, "Oh look, there's that Jordan North." If you know who Jordan North is, yeah, I think he's a DJ. He was on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here a couple of years ago. It was during lockdown because I remember watching it when I was staying at my mum's. And anyway, he does this podcast, Help I Sexted My Boss, with this posh bloke who is a gay. But that Jordan does come across as a gay to me. He comes across as a gay. He might not be a gay, but well, it doesn't matter if he's a gay or not, because I wouldn't have anything to do with him, even if he was a gay and was interested, which he wouldn't be, but I wouldn't be, because I'm more or less halibut now. It's the only way to be. I think it's the spiritual way to be. And in fact, if you want to raise your chrism oil, research it, you've got to abstain from that sort of filth. Um, I think that's why monks don't do it. Although, to be honest, I think there's a lot of stuff goes on in monasteries. All those men in cloaks, there's something a bit, easy access, just lift up the cloak. I'm not saying anything, but these monks are humans after all, and they've got their needs. Unless they put bromide in the tea, I don't know. But I expect there's a lot of hot action that goes on in monasteries and nunneries too. Mm. God forgive me, as my colleague Marlin from Scotland would say when I worked at Littlewood. God forgive you, and I just used to say, He will, He will. God will forgive me, He will. You just say, God, please forgive me on your deathbed, and you'll be fine. Anyway, I don't think I've got that much to be forgiven about. These glasses are awful. They're not even straight. They're years old. Must get myself down to the optician. If I put my lenses in, I won't be able to see your doodah. Right. Oh, you can all hear me. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Bollocks, bollocks. I love that word. Right. Next. When is the next vlog? Soon. Gemma's had so much trouble with her Dyson. Her V15 broke, and they're so rude. I hate them. Well, they used to be quite good for that sort of thing. I'm not a huge fan, I must say. I've been SIBOing today. I've been SIBOing with a Felix, and I've been duo-peeing. I tend to use SIBOs in my, doodah. I don't know what that is in stone, Rosie. 6 kilograms. Just go Google it, and you can answer what is convert 6 kilograms to stone. I don't do stone. I do kilograms now. But I just go by a bag of sugar. Standard bag of sugar is 1 kilogram. So if you can picture a standard bag of sugar, not the half size, it's 500 gram. Standard size bag is a kilogram. So I've lost 6 of those. I don't know where, but I definitely have got less on my belly. Might have lost a bit round here. I don't know. But it's mainly the belly. On a man, it tends to be the belly that gets the fat. But yes. Yeah. Would I come to Liverpool? Well, I've been to Liverpool. I've been to Liverpool a few times. I've even stopped overnight in Liverpool in a city centre hotel when I was working at Littlewoods, which was a Liverpool-based company, Littlewoods. Yes, I've been to Liverpool. I've walked past the Cavern. It's a few years since I've been. I think the last time we went to Liverpool, we went to the John Lewis there. I'm sure that's in Liverpool. Must be 2 years ago now. Yes, so I have been to Liverpool. Well, at some point, I haven't. I've scheduled a lot. Well, I've got a plan of videos to do on my other channel. Right up to August, I think I've written down. Some videos I've made, some I haven't. But there's no washing machines in there. If I do slip a washing machine in, it'll be an extra video, say on a Wednesday. But I'm uploading Monday and Friday now on my other channel, trying to be consistent with that. So there was a video today. There's going to be a video Friday. And I think I've got one scheduled for next Monday, but I've got to film some new videos this week. And I'll be filming a lot of videos when I'm at my mum's again in 4 weeks. Lots of videos to finish. Gemma says, not anymore. Do you know what? Everyone, don't ever buy a Dyson. Stick with SIBO. In fact, I'm so angry, Dyson. I bought the new SIBO. How have you bought the new SIBO cordless, Gemma, when it's not available yet? How did you manage to? Who's selling that? Because as far as I know, it's not available. Well, it'll be available soon, but the place I've seen it available for, it's on pre-order. And it's really a commercial vacuum, that SIBO. It's just an upright. It's more like an Orec type because it's a dirty fan cleaner. It's about £800, so it'll only clean floors and carpets. It doesn't do above the floor. I can't see myself getting one at the moment. It's just too much money. I mean, I'm sure it'd be very good. But the one that's coming out, I'm sure, is aimed at the commercial market. They might introduce a domestic version. I mean, fingers crossed, SIBO might offer me one after all the years I've been plugging their products for nothing. Maybe they'll offer me one. Who knows? Can't see myself getting one at the moment. I've spent too much money recently on the house and things, so no, Gail, not finished the house stuff. I was saying earlier, the kitchen's been painted. Mark did it when I was away, but he's, I'm going to have to do it again. Well, I'm going to have to cut in again. His cutting in is appalling because he's gone for a much darker colour and it's very noticeable against the white ceiling. So I've got to go around and cut in properly. And he hasn't painted around the back of the dishwasher because he didn't want to move the dishwasher out. So I've got to move that. So I've basically got to redo it. He's got paint on the floor. I think he's put masking tape on the floor, but it's bled through. So I'm going to have to try and get that off. Looks a mess, to be honest. And I don't know why he did it. There's far more important things to do in the house than paint the kitchen. So anyway, I'll do a vlog of that. He has taken my advice. He does listen to me sometimes. He's ordered a new ottoman bed. I've told him you can store so much stuff under an ottoman bed. I said, all this stuff you've got in your bedroom, that could all go under an ottoman bed. And I said, you don't need a king size. You sleep on your own. A double will be fine. He actually asked, he's gone to a local firm. So he's got a new ottoman bed coming with the built-in headboard and everything. So he doesn't have to have his silly little valance. And he'll be able to lift it up. I said, your folding bike will go under there. All that stuff will store neatly under there, blah, blah. So he has taken my advice. Oh, yes. So he asked the man, he said, in the shop, he said, oh, well, I sleep on my own in a king-size bed. I'm worried that a double bed won't be big enough. So the man laughed at him. I said to Mark, I said, look, just think about the bed you sleep on in the caravan. That's not even a single. That's like a bunk bed size in the caravan. You manage to sleep on that because I hear you snoring enough. So I'm sure you'll be fine in a double bed on your own. I'm okay in a double bed with Daisy. So he's all right in a double bed, I'm sure. So, he doesn't need a king size bed. It's just greedy. Oops, where's your comments? They've gone. Oh, here they are. The sofa has softened up. Yes, although it's softened up unevenly. One side of the sofa has softened up. The other's still a bit hard, and the snuggle seat has already been soft. So what I've done, because they're the same size, the seat, one side of the sofa is the same size as the snuggle seat. So today I put the harder cushion on the snuggle seat and moved the snuggle seat to the sofa. So more or less now the sofa is evenly balanced firmness wise, and the snuggle seat is a bit firmer, but that's fine. So yes, it has certainly, it's not like sitting on concrete now. It's got a lot more give in it. So on the whole, I'm pleased with it. I have managed to have naps on it, and I can lie completely flat out on it. So yeah, on the whole, pretty happy with it. I've got a new nesting coffee table that arrived when I was away. There's a new side table coming on Wednesday, I think. So that's everything done for the living room. Just still got this mirror to put up, this huge heavy mirror. It's been leaning against the wall for ages. It needs putting up. I need Mark's help with that. Once that's up, then that is the living room done. Once I've sorted out Mark's paintwork in the kitchen and given the kitchen a declutter, that's the kitchen done for now. Although we do need a new kitchen, but that'll be next year. My ensuite, I still need to paint it. So you won't see that until it's painted. And the vlog of all that happening. And then when that's done, I've got this room. I bought new bedding for this room. I've got paint. Well, just white initially, just to give it a couple of undercoats. I've got some new pictures to go up. This picture behind me won't be here. I've got a new picture for there, a new picture for opposite. So yeah, it's coming together slowly but surely. Oh well, Gemma, I don't know if I'd rush into buying that SIBO. As I say, it's a bit limited. It's just an upright. It's 800 plus pounds. It's basically a soft bag upright cleaner, a dirty fan upright. So it's like an old-fashioned Hoover Junior in the way that the fan, the dirt passes through the fan and into a paper bag, well, a fleece bag that's inside a soft zipped cover. I did a review on my other channel for another similar machine, similar principle. I can't remember the make of it. It was a sort of a turquoisey colour. And that had a soft bag. So that's most similar to the SIBO. I'm sure the SIBO will be a lot better. Truvox, that was it. I think it was a Truvox. So go on my other channel, look up Truvox, and you'll see that that's the most similar to what the SIBO is. But as I say, I'm sure the SIBO will be leaps ahead of that as far as performance goes. But it's just too expensive for me to look at. And it's not, it'd be nice to have, but it's not versatile. But I say it's mainly designed for commercial use, that one, at the moment. My next caravan trip is not until June, because the next holiday is in May and we're going to Anglesey again, but in a cottage. So the first time this year that we're going in the caravan is June, and we're going to Scotland. Where is it? Somewhere on the west coast of Scotland. I don't know where. Not the Highlands. Lower than that. Can't remember. So we got that booked. I think we're going to Somerset again, or no, for the first time. In September, we're going to, oh, I don't know. We've got lots of holidays booked, but the first caravan holiday is June. But yeah, I say we're going for a week in a 4-bed cottage we bought it as for my mum's birthday present. She's having a big birthday this year, so we decided to go. So my eldest brother's hopefully coming as well and sharing the bill, because we're paying a third of it each. My mum's not paying anything, so we'll be going over and picking my mum up and her dogs and our dogs, and we'll be going off to Anglesey for a week, right next to the beach in Benlech, where we stayed before. So that'll be nice. I have been to Scotland, but never for, the longest I've stayed in Scotland was in Kelso on the border for a week. And I've had trips to Edinburgh. Just lot weekends at Edinburgh, not weeks. So yeah, apparently this caravan site is 5 minutes away from the beach. So that'll be nice. Did I like Ken Dodd? Well, I've never met Ken Dodd, but yes, he was quite amusing. I suppose from that generation. He was on telly quite a lot when I was a child. Well, Jake, it was fine at my mum's. I've done a vlog for mother's, so I just need to edit it. It's hours and hours of boring footage, so I'm going to have to try and edit it into something vaguely watchable. I'm sure it's quite boring what I was doing, but I will try and use my editing skills to make it so you're not falling asleep. Yes, the HomePod does have good bass. Since that video, I bought a black HomePod because they came back in stock. So I've got a black HomePod, the big one. I mean, I've got these little ones too. I've got little, even the little ones are good. But I've got a big black one, and tomorrow I'm receiving another big white one because I want two big ones in my bedroom. Who doesn't? And so I'll have two of the big home pods in my bedroom. I might have the two big ones and two smaller ones, so I can be surrounded by sound. Not wired for sound like Cliff was. Yes, I've still got the Hoover Logic, honestly. It's at the back of the garage, rusting away. Oops. Well, there's no need to be worried about me, Teresa. I'm fine and dandy. If you're ever worried that I've disappeared, all you have to do is go over to my other channel, and if I'm uploading on that, I've not kicked to the bucket, But I've been, as I say, I've been away for 2 weeks, and well, that's my excuse. I haven't been here, so I thought, well, I'll just go on a bit. I'll go on live a bit today because Mark's watching some program, and I'll just have a chat, and then later on this week you'll probably start to get some new vlogs from my mum's house. Let's see. I'm not that old, Jake Alley. Remember Muffin the Mule? I do know of Muffin the Mule only because I've seen old programs about old programs. So I do know. We want Muffin, Muffin the Mule. Muffin the Mule, yes. Oh, there's a very good takeoff skit. You might find it on what all is it called? All Four? Channel 4's streaming service. Look for Never Mind the Horrocks. It might be on YouTube. Never Mind the Horrocks. It was a one-off on Channel 4 starring Jane Horrocks. You might know her as Bubble on Ab Fab. So she did this sort of sketch show, and she does a sort of parody of a Muffin the Mule type thing in black and white, and she's playing the posh lady. I'm going to swear. Okay, I'm going to say one swear, so be prepared. I believe as long as you don't swear within the first few minutes, you're okay. So I'm going to say a swear, but only because this is what was in the sketch and it's hilarious. So Jane Horrocks is playing this sort of posh, I can't believe the accents on BBC now. The announcers, they're rough as a-holes now. But in my day, you had to speak properly on the BBC. But nowadays it's all, oh, hiya, pet. Coming up on BBC One, there's this, that, and the other. Ooh. Bit of Geordie and Yorkshire for you mixed up. So Jane Horrocks is playing this, listen with mother, watch with mother thing, and she's got a Muffin the Mule type, and then there's a little Dachshund puppet called Savaloy, and then there's a clown character called Airy Fairy, and then basically she's just repeating, and then she just looks at, after doing all this repeating, she looks at the camera and says, "Swear alert." Well, children, this is fucking boring, isn't it? In that, it's the sort of thing you wouldn't expect to hear it. It's very good. I'd recommend it. If you haven't seen it, if you can find it online, Never Mind the Horrocks, it's called. So you'll see what I mean. I hope I haven't offended anyone by swearing. I'm just relaying what was in the show. I must have loads of money. Why must I? What have I done to demonstrate that? I'm wearing glasses that are 8 years old, that are prescription. They're not even, you know. This jumper's acrylic. I don't have any children. Don't drink. I don't do drugs. Don't smoke. Perhaps you weren't talking to me. Anyway, yes, I do have lots of money. No, I don't. Right. Well, it's not my. Thank you, Kathy. It's not my mum's birthday until July, but it's a big birthday, and we thought, oh, what can we do? And she's never been to Wales, and we both liked Anglesey a lot, and I think she will like the beaches of Anglesey. And she won't have to worry about having to drive there and drive about. Mark will do all that, and it'll be nice. Simon is looking to take his caravan to. Oh, I can't see anything with these. Can I make this bigger? No, I can make myself bigger. I don't want to do that. Bunry in Fort William next year. Should be a nice break. It's a long drive from Suffolk. I know it's Craig. I know you're Craig, Elvis. I know you're Craig because even though you changed your name, I know it's you because there's no one else that goes on and on and on about the same things all the time. So I don't know you, so I can't say if I like you or not. You do get on my tits occasionally with all your constant talk about washing machines, which is not relevant to this. Obviously, you like washing machines, so yes, I have to. Yes, to be honest, it does annoy me sometimes, but I don't know you, so I don't dislike you. But it is a little bit wearing to get the same comments over and over again, especially when I'm not even on that channel. And even on that channel, I don't really concentrate on washing machines. Rob Davis, hey Roger. Interesting retro comedy fact. My chiropodist was one of the roly polies who worked with Les Dawson. He was lovely, apparently. Not quite a Ken Dodd anecdote, but we have what we have. Oh, so you had, I assume that your chiropodist was female, because I think all the roly polies were female. Les Dawson used to sell vacuum cleaners, apparently, back in the early days when he was starting off. I think he was probably doing comedy clubs at night and selling vacuum cleaners, during the day. That's a lot of other famous people seem to have been selling vacuums as well. There's somebody else, can't remember who, but I know I've seen a few Les Dawson um, documentaries, and that's been mentioned. You can't beat Sissy and Ada though. That is hilarious. Again, if you're not from the UK and have not seen Les Dawson and Roy Barraclough doing Sissy and Ada, I would recommend that as well. It's very northern comedy, British. Oh, high five by Leon's going to buy 2 home pods when he wins lottery. Well, I can only afford them because I've got a Very account and I get discount from Very. So the £300 home pods cost me £254. So it's still a lot of money, but I don't have to pay for them for a whole year. Because if you spend a certain amount from Very, you can delay the payment. So as long as you pay for the whole thing within the year, if you pay for it within the year, it's all interest free. So I don't pay for everything up front, but I do make sure I clear the balance before the year's up. I mean, I often do pay them off much sooner than they should be, but I haven't paid for them. Not yet, anyway. Right. Ooh, keep losing my spot there, look. Well, Teresa, that front hall, apparently some of the tiles have lifted, Mark told me. He was vacuuming, I think, when I wasn't here, and a couple of the tiles have lifted. So we've got to get them back. Plus, one of the tiles is lifted in the ensuite. So, although it's a very good floor, that never happened with our kitchen floor, which is also Amtico. But they will come back and fix it. But yes, it does look nice, and I've got a nice new radiator cover for the hall. Gemma, the Hetty and Henry Quicks are okay. They're not the best, to be honest. They're fairly heavy. I do like the fact they've got a bag. So that is the best thing about them. The floor head is a bit screamy and it's a bit vaxish, but they're okay for whipping round. You know, it's a shame that they're not made in the UK. They're okay, you know. They're sort of they're average. A lot of people have put very good reviews for them, and you know, I just like them because they have a bag. You can get other bag stick cleaners. There's the Doodah one. Oh, what's it called? G-Tech do one, and there's the oh, I forgot what it's called. Capsule one that I've done a review of. I think they've improved the floor head on that capsule, so the brush roll comes out. Yes, I do swear. I do swear, folks. I'm not sweetness and light. I do say the F word, the C word, the B word. Um, the worst swear is the C word, definitely. Um, I swear like a trooper. Mm. One has to. Oh yes, Rob. I kid you not. He did sell vacuums. I'm sure most of the Les Dawson documentaries are on YouTube. So I remember either him saying it or his wife saying it or something. But he certainly did in the early days sell vacuum cleaners um, to supplement his money. Oh dear, oh, you know Sue Cook, do you, Ollie? Well, it's a good job she's not in the Beeb anymore. Yeah, she has been speaking out about certain things a bit. Most of the mainstream have kept things are leaking out now. Have you noticed? I don't know if it's happening in America, but things are also being allowed on YouTube. I saw this video that was uploaded 11 days ago and it's still there about how to detox the spike protein after having the, and that's been allowed. I mean, it's all gonna, it's, yeah, it'll come out, but it's probably, they know it's going to come out and they're planning it for it to come out. I don't trust anyone. I've stopped really watching most stuff now. I'm a lot happier. Even alternative things I don't watch much of. I do like Sonia Poulton on Brand New Tube. She does Rise with Brand New Tube. I quite like that. Keeps me up to date with things. And they have a psychotherapist on a Monday and a Friday, different ones with some very practical advice and things about stuff. So that's good. On brand YouTube, Sonia Poulton. She used to be a mainstream reporter, presenter, but she spoke out, you see. Yes, Bill and Ben and the Flower Pot Man. That's still. I'm not old enough to be watching that. I don't think he was called Les Dyson, Gary. What's my opinion on Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammond? I'm not keen on any of them, to be honest. James Hammond gets mentioned quite a bit in my comments because people say I'm wearing his shirts in some of the videos, but I don't wear James May's shirts. He wears my shirts that I've discarded, that I've taken to the RSPCA charity shop. He buys my old shirts. So I don't, never been into Top Gear and all that palaver. I'm not a fan of any of them, to be quite frank. No, I just don't watch them. So mhm. Well, you won't get them hi-fi by Leon. You won't be able to get a home pod for what I pay because you won't get the discount unless it's your first purchase. They normally offer a discount on your first purchase, but it's often excluding electricals and Apple products and things. But if your credit rating is good, you will get a credit account where you'll be able to defer the payment. So it goes from, I think, 6, 9, and 12 months. So the more you spend, the longer you've got to defer. Trouble with those is you must pay them off before the deferred payment time ends, because if you don't pay them off, then they charge you interest from the time you got the order, time you ordered it. So the interest builds up. So unless you clear it before the time is up, then there's loads of interest, and then they'll continue to charge you interest. So don't fall for that. Use it, and you could wait until the time's up and then pay it in full, or you can just pay a bit in each month. It's all interest free as long as you pay it before. I think everything from Very, though, is like on 3 interest free payments by default. So as long as you pay the minimum pay in 3 payment, then it's all interest free. But yeah, don't get into the trap of not paying it off, because that's when they get you. Yes, I get Very discount because I'm an ex Littlewoods employee. That's why I still get it. I don't know why. I assume it's correct. I was a manager when I was made redundant, so I don't know if everyone who had an account at the time, because I had a staff account with Littlewoods catalogue, it turned into Very. I think it became Littlewoods Extra and then Very and whatever. So I already had an account for many years when I worked there, and obviously it kept on, and I kept getting discount even though I'd left. Well, was made redundant. So I thought, well, I won't say anything. And I thought, well, it's been going on for years. So I've been getting discount. I thought, well, they can't turn around and now say, oh, you should have got discount. We need all this money. But then I had some communication from them a while ago saying, oh, we're going to have to start, because I used to get free delivery as well. And then they said, oh, we're going to have to start charging free delivery. We're going to have to start charging for delivery. That includes current employees and ex Littlewoods employees. So I assume they know that there are ex Littlewoods employees with accounts that get discount. So yeah, I still get discount at Very. It varies. It's I get more discount on clothing, home textiles, and housewares. It's less on electricals. I think it's at least 15%. I get discount on Apple MacBooks, um, but not on iPads or iPhones. But on MacBooks, I get discount. On the other Apple stuff, the accessories, the HomePods. I think the Apple Watch I got discount on. but not on iPhones or iPads. I used to get discount on iPads, but not anymore. So it's several £100 if you look. If I wanted a new MacBook, it's quite a lot of discount I get. So it's worth having. Do 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 do. Are the pods good? Yes, they are. Oh, the pods. Oh, I thought you meant. Well, I've done a video on how long the pods last. You know, pneumatic reckon 2 weeks. I'm not an ibasiac, am I? Pneumatics say 2 weeks on average, but I used one for a whole month and then cut it open. I've done a video. It's a shortish video. Well, I took part of a long video and made a short one as well. So I show you what a month's worth. So it is possible in some houses you can use them for a month. I would say 2 weeks at the very least. 3 weeks is more likely, but it depends on how much dirt you've got, how many carpets you've got, how dirty your carpets are. But as I said, I used it for a month and then cut the bag open and it compacted a lot of mess into that small pod because a bagless cleaner just swirls around and mixes it with air and it looks like there's a lot. But a bagged cleaner compresses the dirt, and that's what the pod does on the Henry and Hetty Quick. So yes, I mean it probably will reduce airflow a bit when it gets very full, but it was still picking up right to the end, you know. So a month maximum. Even after a month, I would always change it after a month. But I think 3 weeks. You could get 3 weeks out of a bag. All depends on how much you use it. Yeah. Halo or Vorwerk? Well, it depends how much money you've got. The Halo capsule's all right if I did sell mine. Um, if you want a bagged stick, it's okay. Uh, the Vorwerk, the one I've got, yeah, it is good. It's not worth the money though. Am I? Please tell me I'm on bits and doings. I'm getting all these vacuum questions. The dulled down version of the C word could be cooties. Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, that C word, I mean, it's slang for a lady's front bottom or some very nasty. I reserve the C word for someone who's really annoyed me, um, who I just can't stand. But I would never, I have said the C word to some folk, to be honest, mainly Mark, but not many times. He knows if I have to say that, he's taken me to that point when I've said it. But it's fine. You've got to let it out sometimes. Well, if you stop commenting so much, Sam, I might know what your question was. I've just been skipping through because you keep putting the. So if you ask a proper question, I can answer it. Oh, did you love Henry's? No, I don't, or never have loved Henry's, because a Henry is a vacuum cleaner. It's a domestic appliance. So I don't love vacuum cleaners. You should never love a domestic appliance or an inanimate object. I reserve love for human beings and animals. That's it. Not vacuum cleaners. Sometimes I hate vacuum cleaners. Gary says we need to scare the pants off them. We'll announce the Kent variant tomorrow. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've always thought that Hancock, I can't even look at him. I mean, I can't look at any politician when they come on. Sunak, any of them. I just can't even bear to hear their voices, to see them. They are scum. And I'm referring to any politician. I'm not just referring to conservatives. They all are. They're all in it to feather their own nests, in my opinion. And I don't trust anyone, to be honest. I don't trust the people who I think are on the side I think I'm on. I don't trust the people that are saying the things I agree with. I just don't. I've got to a stage when I can't trust anything anyone says, to be honest. Because even if things seem to be going the way I'm hoping, by things are getting revealed that a lot of people knew about at the beginning, even I don't trust that. I just don't know. So I've sort of turned myself off a bit from everything on the whole. I try and sort of keep a bit abreast with what's going on. But on the whole, I'm sort of um, just watching more comedy instead of, you know, things that are going to get me worried. Just watching comedies, and I'm going through Drop the Dead Donkey at the moment. I've just started watching House of Elliot again on my DVDs. I'm just going back into my shell, not my shell. I'm going back into my bubble. Because a lot of things I don't know. Apparently there's been shortages of, eggs and other foodstuffs. Well, if I hadn't seen bits of that, snippets of that, I wouldn't have known, because every time I've ordered stuff, pardon me, I've always had eggs delivered. I've never had eggs not in stock and blah blah. And so it's all this stuff is out there. Everything that's in the media is just it's just there to manipulate you and control your thoughts. They don't call it TV programming for nothing, folks. And that's from someone who was absolutely addicted to TV, had two video recorders on the go recording all sorts. And so, I don't trust any BBC, ITV. I don't trust them. But I can't forget the things I used to, well, I still love that the BBC and ITV brought, mainly the comedies, and I still watch and enjoy those. So, that was when I liked Auntie Beeb, but now I don't trust Auntie Beeb. I see Auntie Beeb as a propaganda machine. All of them are, but I still enjoy the comedies, all the classic comedies that were on the BBC. So I'll cut them some slack for that. But BBC now, I watch very little of the BBC, very little of mainstream television. Dee-dee-dee. Gemma's kind of rich. Well, just splurge then. Just buy 10 of each of everything and try them out. Well, I don't mind the odd, you don't have to shut your mouth about Hoovers or vacuum cleaners, Gemma. It's just, don't mind the odd question. It's when it's constant about it. It just gets a bit. If I was on my other channel, then I would expect lots of questions about vacuums, you see. I don't mind the odd ones, Yes, I've said it. Look, Mark and I have been together for 20 years. I've probably only said it 5 times in 20 years, which isn't bad. And I had to be pushed to call him that out of frustration. So, you know, he's called me it probably 3 times. So, we're not one of those Instagram couples that it's all lovey dovey, because I'm sure, sure these folk that record, I'm sure they call each other that word, and they just don't film it. It's not real, is it? One does get frustrated, and sometimes that's the only thing you have to say. Never really shout. Never had real arguments, shouting matches. It's never been that. Um, so you know, we get on the whole, we get on. I would say. Hello, Sarah. Listen to Porter Robinson. Goodbye to a World. Oh, I don't think Martin will have it. Play Porter Robinson. Goodbye to a World.
I couldn't find that in your Apple Music library. You can ask me to play a radio station or ask for your music in a different app.
No, I won't. Well, how can I remember that? It'll be on. iTunes. Not. It'll be on YouTube Music. Well, I'll have to try and remember that. Oh. Of course they are, Paul. Politicians. They're only in it for themselves. Have you the latest? Boris Johnson wants to give his father a knighthood. They're just laughing. They're laughing at us, folks. They laughed at us during the lockdowns, didn't they? They had people, scared to leave their homes, people, scared to not go out without a mask, people leaving their shopping outside for 3 days in case it was contaminated, people disinfecting everything while they were having parties. They knew. I'm more upset with the people that went along with it, to be honest. I can't believe, and people still are. There's some neighbours at my near my mum's, and they're still testing for COVID. They don't even work. Mark had to. Mark had to do lateral flow tests. They don't anymore, and he works in the NHS. He had to do one once a week, and to see if he was positive. And if he was positive, he had to work from home. But they don't. Even the NHS don't do that now, and they don't have to wear masks. He still has to wear a mask when he goes to visit. They call them clients in their own homes. They told to put a mask on. Um, I can't I can't believe people that's still wearing them. And I did admit I did put a cloth mask on my face in supermarkets and shops because I was a coward. I didn't want the confrontation. But it was a totally. I mean, they're ineffective anyway. But I made sure that it was a double layered cloth, double fabric cloth mask. I could hardly breathe through. So I cut. I knew it was just for show. So I cut one layer off, so I got some. I could breathe, and I remember being in M&S, and I could smell the cheese on the cheese counter quite clearly through my mask, and thought, well, if I can smell that cheese, it's not going to stop tiny virus particles. And masks don't work. They said they don't, and then they told us to wear them. It's all about muzzling us and showing compliance. But oh, I don't know. But when I see people wearing them now, I just think, oh. But I did envy. I did. I was in Sainsbury's, and there was some people walking around without a mask on, and I just thought, oh, why can't I just take mine off? And I remember when they initially when it first the government first said we don't have to wear them. Still, a lot of people did have them on, but as soon as we didn't have to. I didn't wear it, and in the early days, there was only a few people not wearing them, and then more and more people didn't wear them. So now when I go out, it's very rare to see someone wearing one, but you do still see people wearing them. Um, but yes, I remember we were on holiday somewhere. I think it was Lincolnshire, and it was in, yeah, the worst place was what I think someone muttered something to me in Sainsbury's, not to me directly, but I heard something. So I didn't have the mask on, and still most of everyone was. I think I got to the stage when I'm not wearing it anymore. And but the worst was Waitrose. I went into a Waitrose that same day, and everyone was still masked up, and I was the only one in that shop without the mask on. And I did feel a bit conspicuous, but then I thought, I like to breathe air. I don't like to breathe. I don't like my breathing constricted. So I don't think they'll get away with it again. I certainly would not. It's all coming out anyway, isn't it? So they're still going to try things, these so called elites. They have less power over us than they think. Dee, 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 dee. Gemma says Liz Truss was okay to a certain extent, but I don't think she's got any chances to do what she wanted the day. She said, I'm a fighter, I'm not a quitter. But the next day she resigned. Well, she didn't do much for Brexit, I don't think. I quite admired Maggie, to be honest, Margaret Thatcher. She had balls. But still, even now I'm thinking, I just think of past events and I'm thinking, was it really true? You get to think about everything nowadays. I do. Things you were told in the past that you believed in the past, and then you go back and think about it. What is the time anyway? Looks like it's 9. I bet Mark's going to bed. I can hear Mark. Rosie says, and to think people called us names about the jabs. Who's laughing now? I don't think it's any. I don't think it should anything to laugh at. Because people were manipulated and made scared, weren't they? So I suppose you can forgive the people that had them because they were frightened. You can't forgive the people that coerced them. Don't forgive the people that coerced and use the scare tactics. I didn't. I was never offered them from my doctor. Not a phone call, not a text, not a letter. So I can say that I never refused because I was never offered. Obviously, we're indirectly told, but I was never going to. I was never going to have them anyway, no matter what. I did watch a few years ago. I watched a film called Vaxxed. I think it's VAXXED, and it was about, is it the mumps, measles, and rubella? It was like vaccination they're giving children all in one, and there were a lot of adverse effects from that, and children having seizures, autism, all sorts of things. This is an American film, and it's quite heartbreaking, really, seeing what's happened. So I don't trust pharmaceutical companies. They're only in it for profit. They're not in it for the good of humanity. I mean, Johnson and Johnson, they've had to pay out a lot of money, I think billions, because their talcum powders caused breast cancer in women, and yet it's still on sale. I think they're going to withdraw it soon, but it's still available. And there's been drug companies, thalidomide, all sorts of different drugs that have been given to people and they've had adverse effects. Why would I would not trust? I'm never will never knowingly take an injectable into my body, no matter what the provocation. Never. So, but I'm glad I haven't. Um, but we can't be cross with the people that did because they were manipulated to do it. Rob says, agree with politicians. So if we all voted Roger for PM, what would your political policies be if you're immediately in charge of the UK um, after you rescinded the EU limit on vacuum cleaner wattage? Well, I would make sure we were out of the EU, which we're not. No, I wouldn't get involved in politics at all. I don't see the problem though with, I don't know why we're called, people who have voted for for leaving the EU. I voted to leave, and it was not about being racist, because that didn't even, the reasons I decided to vote out were mainly due to things I'd seen about the corruption of the EU. Um, I don't see how an external body should be controlling what's happening in our country. I think the British people should be um, deciding what laws and rules and regulations to have in our country. And all countries should have that. Not just the UK, every country should have their own sovereignty and should be able to decide for themselves what happens in their own country. I don't see that's racist to say that. And we've got a migrant problem at the moment in the UK, and I don't mind people coming here legally, officially, going through official channels. If they want to come to the UK to work and they do it officially, I've no problem with that. It's when they come illegally and they know the system, they know how to work it. And hotels are full. There's hotels in my area, there's hotels on the coast, there's hotels all over that are full of these illegal people who have come here to exploit our system, and that's wrong. As I say, I have nothing against people that come here the correct way, the proper channels. If I wanted just to walk in and to America, well, I can't because I haven't, say a country that allows you to go. I can't just turn up in Australia and just expect to live there. You know, you've you can't. You just can't take a holiday in Australia and decide I'm going to live here now. You can't do it. But somehow they can do it. They can come to the UK. So is but again, I've tried to sort of stop watching that sort of stuff because again, I think that's partly making us fearful about all these people coming in, what they're coming for, and again, I don't know if it's 100% true. Um, you see, I'm sure there are people coming here, but are the numbers they're telling us? There could be even more than they're telling us, or there could be far less, and it could just be, again, it's coming from the media, isn't it? It could be the media stirring us up. So it sounds selfish, but if it doesn't affect you personally in your world, just don't let it affect you. Until it's knocking at your door, try and, oh, hello, Daisy. Try and, don't say you need to, you've got to sort of know what they're saying. You can't be completely cut off unless you decide to live as a hermit somewhere in the middle of a forest. You can't completely cut yourself off, but just be aware of things that are in the media that are constantly down they're pushing. Just think that there might be an agenda behind that. I think that's a good thing about what's happened past 3 years or so. A lot more people have kind of woken up to the fact that politicians aren't there to serve us, and the media on the whole, you know, even you'd expect the media to entertain and inform, educate, And yes, you can get some entertainment, but even in the entertainment now, there's always hidden agendas, isn't there? You can always spot them. You can spot them when you realize what they're doing. Just a line in a show that's not related to anything, but there can just be a line, and they're pushing these agendas. Um, they just put, you've got to be very careful. Oh, hello, Molly. Molly's up here as well. What are you doing in my ensuite, Daisy? Mark's listening to Madonna. Oof, what is Madonna nowadays? What is that? What is that thing that calls herself Madonna? Would I recommend Miele appliances? Yes, on the whole. We don't really celebrate anniversaries, Jacob, but we did go out on our 20th. We went out for a meal in town and then to a couple of gay venues. But we don't really do that sort of thing. We don't do Valentine's. No. You don't after, well, some people do, but we don't. Well, yes, that's true, Gary. Gary was listening to an interview with a female author, Lionel Shriver. Is that a female's name? Lionel. And she said the worst thing about the last 3 years as it is that she doesn't believe anything from anyone in authority now. Well, I don't. Well, Teresa's had to delete comments. Good job I haven't seen those. Teresa, if this person's saying very bad things, I think you can block them. Rob says nobody is an Instagram couple. Real life is about working through problems together, not glossing over it with social media posts. Congratulations on 20 years. Yeah. Oh, no, there's this thing, it's been cropping up on social media and I absolutely hate it. Even Mark said something, so it must be sort of widespread. It's these social media influencers or whatever they are giving money away to people, going in supermarkets and asking them, oh, have you got $1 or something, blah, 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 and then they end up giving them money, or they go to a homeless person and give them money. That is, I can't stand that, because if they were giving money, purely out of the kindness of their heart, they wouldn't be filming it. Why film it? You can donate money to charities, you can give money to someone in need, you can decide to pay for someone shopping in front of you in the supermarket if you feel that they look like they're struggling, or if someone hasn't got quite enough money, if you're in the queue at the supermarket and they're fiddling about and they're having to put stuff back, if you say, so I'll pay for that for you, and you're not being filmed, that's nothing against that. It's when they're being filmed doing it, because they're not doing it. They're doing it, look at me, look how nice I am. Well, no, you're not nice. If you were nice, you wouldn't be filming it, would you? And you wouldn't be putting it up on Instagram or TikTok or wherever. I don't have TikTok, but I'm sure it's on TikTok. It just reminds me of the parable. It's a Bible story I remember from my youth, my childhood. Jesus and the poor widow. And it was this little story about these merchants all decked in gold and all, flaunting their wealth. And they go up, wasn't a church, it was, I don't know, what, some religious building, whatever, in those times, might have been a synagogue or something. And there was a poor box where you'd put money in, and they were lavishly getting out lots of money and just showing off to people, look at all this. And then this very humble, poor widow who didn't have anything, she just sort of went up to the poor box and put what money she had in there, a few coins in the box. And even though it was a tiny amount compared to what these rich people gave, in comparison to what she had, it was a huge amount, and what they gave was just a fraction of the wealth they had, and she gave loads. You know, she gave what she had, and I think this was a parable, and Jesus saw this going on, and you know, obviously he called out the rich merchants, and he said, you know, this woman, you know, has more humanity in her than you. She has given, humbly given everything she could afford, and not, you know, and that's what it reminds me of. These things I've seen on Instagram and stuff, where they just, you know, and it's nice if, you know, as I said, I'm nothing against people doing that, but you don't have to film it. Because if you, as soon as you get that, as soon as you get that camera out to film, or as soon as someone's filming you behind, you're not doing it for that person. You're not doing it for the right reason. You're doing it for your ego. I don't know what you folks think about it. Oh, hang on, Daisy's up. Oh, Molly's up here as well. I don't know why she's here. Come on, come here. Stop. Oh, honestly. Oh, Daisy. Right, let's go there. Just sit there and be pretty. Or are you going down there? Go down there then. Yes, go sit there. Oh, don't cry. Honestly, moan, moan, moan. I think they're expecting a treat. Well, I have been to Lincolnshire, Rob. I can't remember where, to be honest. I don't remember where we go. Mark books all the holidays, and I just pay. I just don't know where in Lincolnshire. But we did see some seals, definitely, on the beach where we were near. There were some seals in the water. Some nice beaches in Lincolnshire. Rob admired Maggie too. Lived 20 minutes from us. There's a statue and everything. Is that in Grantham? I think Lincolnshire, Grantham is. Is Grantham in Lincolnshire? I have done, well, I haven't done much more baking. I did make a Victoria sponge with a Kenwood that I didn't film. I also made a chocolate marble cake in the Kenwood, but I baked it in my Tefal cake factory. But I haven't baked much lately. Who can we trust, says Rosie. I don't know. I don't think we can trust anyone unless you know them personally. And probably even then you couldn't, well, it'd be a terrible world if we can't trust some folk. But certainly I wouldn't trust a single politician. Oh, that woman on the picture, Gemma, is me. Yes, that's what I'd look like if I had me balls and winkle cut off and took the hormones. That's a face app thing, you know, where they can change your sex. So that apparently is what I'd look like as a lady. Yes, we don't. I don't know what Madonna's done to herself. I liked the earlier Madonna. You know, I wouldn't call myself a fan. I have got a few of her albums, but I think I don't know what's happened to her. Donna Nook. What's Donna Nook? Donna Nook. I liked her. I liked Maggie in Spitting Image. She was very Spitting Image back in the day was very good. The newer Spitting Image wasn't very good, but that was always talked about. I was at school when Spitting Image was in its heyday, and it was on a. I'm sure it was on a Sunday night, so up fairly late. I think I think it was on at 10. Was it? I think it was on at 10 on a Sunday night, so it was quite late. I was getting on wasn't a young schoolboy, but probably a teenager by then. So yes, people often used to talk about Spitting Image. Um, on a Monday at school, another program we used to always talk about was the young ones. That's my era. Did you see the young ones? And people would be impersonating. I had a friend called Rob who would sort of impersonate Vivian and stuff. He was very good. I'd forgotten how good he was at impressions. He used to do Frank Spencer. I saw him doing it. I saw him doing an impression of Frank Spencer on Facebook, and that reminded me. Oh yeah, you used to do that. He mixes with Rich. Oh, not Rich. Well, possibly Rich. Rob now mixes with quite famous folk from the entertainment world, because he's the manager of Matt Goss. Is it Matt or Luke? One of the Bros ones. The one that's not bald. The one that's had the hair piece or whatever he's got. Because surely he's naturally bald. His twin brother's bald, and he's not. He was on Strictly. He didn't come across very well, to be honest. But apparently, in real life, he's nice. Anyway, he's been. They've known each other since teenagers. So he's his manager. So I see on his Facebook pictures of him with people like Keith Lemon and Claire from Steps and other folk. But I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by any of that. I don't say, oh yeah, can you get me somebody's autograph? I'm not. Celebrity doesn't impress me. I'm not starstruck by anyone, am I, Daisy? Only you, my pretty. Well, I never saw it, the Bros documentary. I never liked Bros anyway, growing up. So not a fan of Bros. I did like when French and Saunders did them. That was funny. And when Dawn French did Tanita Tickerham. Who remembers Tanita Tickerham? Twisted my sobriety. I'm now rubbing Daisy's nipples as we speak. Oh, what's been your best washer? Oh, I don't know. Probably the one I've got now. Not, the washer I wish I still had is my mum's Hoover Computer Control 1100. That probably lasted the longest of any washer she had. And obviously I was quite, I pushed her to get it. I said, oh, get that one. She had the white one. And that did last a long time. And then she got a Hoover New Wave, which I did like, but that wasn't very reliable. And then after the Hoover New Wave, she had the Bosch. She had a couple of Bosches. Ooh, Daisy May. Oh God, I love Tamita. Good tradition. Yeah, she was from Basingstoke. I got her album. I don't know if she did more than one. I've got one of her albums. It's a good tradition of love and hate. That one. And yeah, she did seem a bit miserable. I liked it for that era. I mean, I've always liked ABBA, I have to say, from childhood. So ABBA always with me. Let's hope nothing bad is said about ABBA. Let's hope ABBA don't eat babies, or I don't know. I don't want to hear anything bad about ABBA, to be honest. Because I'd be devastated if I find that there were devil worshippers or whatever. I can't think there would be. I mean, they've given me so much joy for years and years and years. And when they came back with Voyage, I was crying. I was so happy about it. Oh, they're back, ABBA. I can't believe it. And Barbara Dixon, yeah. One thing I will say about Babs, she never made any sort of video about getting the thing, because I would have been so disappointed if she'd encouraged people. Elaine Page did, Dolly Parton did, but she just kept stum. She probably had it herself because I think she's been to America since, so she'll have to have it because you can't get into America without having it. But I was so glad I never saw anything that she, that I would have got over it, but I would have been disappointed. So, but yes, I've been sort of 80s. I think 80s music. I never, I was always just liked. It's just ABBA, ABBA, ABBA for me. I didn't really. I mean, a lot of 80s music passed me by. I was aware of it. I had Top of the Pops on. I was aware of all the classic 80s bands we got in the. I was aware of Wham, Spandau Ballet. Oh, I can't. Howard Jones. All of them. I knew of them. Um, but I didn't really buy the albums. It was just ABBA for me, and then Barbara Dixon crept in about '84, and so it was, I thought, well, it's being a bit unfaithful to ABBA, but Barbara Dixon did do an ABBA song, an ABBA cover, in one of her albums, and also she was in Chess, which was written by Benny and Bjorn. So I thought, well, that's okay. But it was only when I got a CD player in the was probably about 87. I got my first CD player. And because the sound quality was quite a step up from cassettes that I used to have or a record, I bought I tried different things. Stop moving, Daisy, and wobbling the thing. So my sort of early CD collection, my sort of first 10 CDs, obviously I was buying ABBA, rebuying what I already had, very clever, already had them on cassette. So I was rebuying stuff I had and Barbara Dixon. But then I started buying others. I remember sort of early days I had Aha, Erasure, Tina Turner, Christa Berg, who I got to know about through Lady in Red, which I don't really like, but some of his earlier stuff. Don't think of if you only know Christa Berg from Lady in Red, you should listen to some of his Man on the Line is a very good album. The Getaway, and his album Into the Light, which has Lady in Red on, he's got some very good songs on it. He's still going. We saw him in York not that long ago. It was a bit cringy though when he did Lady in Red because he came into the audience and was touching the ladies, and some of them were wearing red dresses. But it was a bit corny, a bit cringy. But and then I got into a lot of Scottish bands that were prevalent in the 80s. Wet, 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 Danny Wilson, Hue and Cry, Deacon Blue. And so my taste sort of expanded more because I got the CD player. And then in the sort of early 90s, I got into country music because on the old satellite, before it went digital, remember the big satellite dishes before they got smaller? This was the day when you could access foreign satellite stations like German and Dutch. And you'd get this thing on interference, and they called it sparklies. If if the dish wasn't totally aligned properly, you get what they called sparklies on the screen. So you had to make sure your dish was aligned. You got all these odd, weird things. And often I would watch on a Saturday, it was on a Dutch, I don't know why, but it was on a Dutch channel. And on a Saturday, I remember it well, they used to show A Fine Romance, that sitcom from the 80s with Judi Dench and her late husband, Michael Williams. I've got that now on DVD, but it wasn't available on DVD then. So I used to watch it, and it was broadcast with the original soundtrack, but it had Dutch subtitles underneath. And I used to like seeing some of the foreign, TV commercials, and occasionally the odd vacuum commercial would come up in German, and I managed to capture one or two of those. But yeah, in the 90s, there was CMT, which was country music television. And, it's something you sort of, you're flicking with all the channels. You got flick, flick, flick. And then suddenly up would come quite an attractive looking gentleman in tight Wranglers with a big Stetson on, singing quite a nice tune. And then I'd think, So I started watching it and then started enjoying the music. So then I got really into country music, new country. So Trisha Yearwood, Garth Brooks, oh God, Tim McGraw. Oh, what was it? There was one. Oh, he looked so gay. Aaron Tippin. Look him up, folks. He there's this there's this type of gay known. I think they were called clones with sort of I think um, Freddie Mercury would possibly be classed as a clone type. You know, with the sleek hair and the moustache and the tight jeans, maybe leather, bit leather. But Aaron Tippin, he would. I mean, I bought all his albums just so I could look at the album sleeve notes. I mean, straight as a die, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, so there's I did get into country music because I was um, so new I think it's called new country. Um, but now I don't really listen to much new music. It's mainly, you know, I do have a lot of different CDs now. I still have CDs on my iPod and things. I tend just to use YouTube music now because I have YouTube Premium, so you can get YouTube music. So I often discover new stuff on that. But I'm like it's like with TV. It takes me a while to get into something new, and it's like new music. I tend to go back to what I know, what I can sing along to. You know, I tend to like stuff I know all the lyrics to, so I can duet with whoever. Because I do love singing on my own. I don't like an audience, but I do love to sing at home when I'm, you know, pottering about. And certain artists suit my voice better. You know, for some reason I tone in very well with Barbara Dixon, but there's other artists that I can't sing along to quite so well because they just don't, you know, they're too high an octave for me or whatever. You know, I do enjoy singing. It's very uplifting. It's very it must raise the endorphins to sing, to be honest. Um, I've always, somebody told me a few years back when I was earlier on Facebook, and you sort of connect with school friends, and they tell you things that they remember about you, and you can't even remember. And apparently, I used to sing a lot at school because, you know, um, I wouldn't say I've got a fantastic voice, but I think it's passable. It depends on the song, you know. If it's a song I've sung for a long time, I think, um, well, to me, it sounds all right. I've heard Mark saying I'm a good singer. I've heard him say it to people because he saw this program where they were teaching people to sing, and then there's this gay chappie, and he wanted to sing a song to his new husband, and he said, "Oh, that's absolutely cringy." He said to me, he said, "Oh, well, you can sing, but I would hate you to do that." Um, so So, I mean, I was in the choir at school. I was in the choir till my balls dropped. I mean, I was no Aled Jones, but not even a Tom Jones. What have you been saying about me when I've been reminiscing? These glasses are rubbish. Right. Okay. Jake Alley, did you ever watch One Foot in the Grave? Yes, of course. I watched every one of them, all the Christmas specials. I've got them all on DVD. When One Foot in the Grave started, it was available. It's been on a long time. It started a long time ago because I remember when I worked at Littlewoods at Christmas time, we'd get VHS videos in, and BBC would produce videos of. It wasn't like box sets. There'd be like one video would make with like 3 or 4 programs on of selected programs. And I remember there being One Foot in the Grave and Ab Fab and all that. So yes, I've yeah, One Foot in the Grave, definitely. Oh, Donanook is an area of the Lincolnshire coast. where the seals give birth to the young. I don't think it was called Don. It was called. There was a beach. It had a funny name. Um, I can't remember what it was called. I can't even remember the nearest town to where we were. But I know that the caravan site was sort of only like a 10-minute walk through a field, and then there's lots of different coloured beach huts. Um, but I can't remember. It was, I think it was fairly near. Is it Mablethorpe? But it wasn't. It was down the coast from Mablethorpe, I think. What's down the coast from Mablethorpe? Because we did walk to Mablethorpe. Um, if you say it, I'll know if it's right. These they're filthy. Oh yes, I remember Gary. Yeah, Tanita Tickeram's brother was that dispatch rider, wasn't he? In this life, I think he was portraying a gay, wasn't he? Daisy, stop licking now. Oops. Oh yes, Barbara Dixon did live in Lincolnshire. Yes, we. I think we did go to Louth. I think we did go there one day. She's back in Edinburgh now. She's back in Scotland. I don't remember the line dance. Well, line dancing was a thing, Teresa. It was a thing back in the UK for a while. I remember there were line dancing classes. So it must have, yeah, it was a thing. It must have been a '90s thing. Well, like with Billy Ray Cyrus and Achy Breaky Heart, that was a hit in the UK. Gary says there's a channel on Freeview if you have a smart TV, which has a channel called Music and Memories, which used to be called Keep It Country. Mm. Rob says new music, new movies are rubbish. The familiar, the familiar is my favourite. Don't like live music because the artists always want to sing stuff from their new album. Sod that, sing what we know. I didn't. I don't like live music. I've never. Well, I've since. I do prefer the perfection of recorded music. So I haven't seen much live. I mean, I've seen Barbara Dixon a few times. I've seen Beth Nielsen Chapman. I've seen Kate Rusby. Uh, I've seen Sophie Ellis Bextor. But yeah, like it's when you see Barbara Dixon, she always has to do Caravan Song, always every concert I've seen because it's expected. But yeah, she does a lot of the folky stuff, which I'm not so keen on the folky stuff, and I preferred her more 80s pop stuff. But it's still nice to see her, um, considering she's in her 70s and she can still hold a tune. Um, but sometimes you're sitting through a live show and thinking, oh, sing so and so. I don't listen to the radio for the fact that I don't like to be dictated what I listen to. I don't want to be listening to the choice of the DJ. So I like to just stream the music or listen to the music I want to listen to at the time, because I have to be in the mood for certain types of music. Sometimes I want to be energized and I want to be sort of prancing about and dancing and doing silly actions just to energize. And then there's sometimes when I want to sing along to really sad emotional stuff. Um, but it's the mood I'm in, so that's why I don't listen to the radio, because I don't. They'll be playing stuff. They'll be playing loads of stuff I don't like. So why would you do that? Mark knows a lot of the latest things. He knows these people, and I don't know them. Gary says, my favourites at the moment are Bullseye and Strike It Lucky on Challenge and Tales of the Unexpected. Tales of the Unexpected, I've seen a few of those. That should be called Tales of the Totally Predictable, because all the ones I've seen, I thought, well, crikey, I could have written that. I saw that coming a mile off. It's always a bit creepy. I remember that in the 80s as, teenager, a bit younger. That seemed to be on quite late. At that stage, I think I had the loft conversion that my dad converted. Obviously, it wouldn't be up to building codes; it would be illegal because I accessed it through a loft ladder. There was no sort of fire safety thing. I mean, it didn't even have a window, but my dad just boarded up some of the loft and put carpet down, and a single bed had a desk. And at the end of my bed, I had a little chipboard shelf with a black and white Hitachi television on. But it was bliss for me. I didn't mind being in the loft, even though it was freezing in the winter and cold and hot in the summer. At least I had my own room. And I remember sort of watching telly late at night and having to get up and turn the dial to change the channel. And it had one of those looped aerials. So I remember sort of watching things late night back then. And I remember watching Alvida Same Pet, Prisoner Cell Block H, things like that. But it was fantastic just having my own room. I mean, as I say, it was a bit basic, and I've always liked loft rooms. To be honest, I'm in a loft. Basically, I'm in a loft room now. I'm at the top of the house. This house is obviously built with, it's a 2.5 story house. So my bedroom and ensuite is in what would be the loft of, a normal house. But I do like that. Going up 2 flights and sort of in my own little area, the penthouse suite. Oh, what's that? Do I like Zaflora? Is that Zaflora? Oh, that's not what. Well, I've used Zaflora. I quite like the lemony smell. They do a lemon one that's quite nice. Mark says live music never sounds as good. Well, I used to think that, but I mean, I have to say, the live music I've seen does sound pretty good. Um, it depends. I mean, I haven't really been to any huge venues where you're miles away. Most of the live music I've seen, you're pretty close. You know, sometimes only a few meters from the stage. But sometimes the Sophia Lespexter, she played live in Holmfirth a few years back. That's where Last of the Summer Wine was filmed. But this was the time when I was working, and I was starting work really early, and I was knackered, and I was very tired, and it wasn't a sitting down venue, and it was too loud. The music was too loud. I was trying to film a little snippet on my phone, and someone told me off. I've still got that footage somewhere. And I just really hated it. It was just because I was absolutely exhausted. But now, because I'm not doing those early hours, I can enjoy stuff more, and I'm not wanting to fall asleep. So I didn't really enjoy that, to be honest. If it's too loud, if you're too near a speaker, then you can hardly hear the lyrics. That's the only trouble. But when you're in a smaller space and they don't have it so loud, it's okay. Oh, why can't I see anything? Rob says, I'm a slightly built guy and I hate standing up. It's much nicer to have a seat and be comfy. The idea of being jostled about in a mosh pit or shoved about shoulder to shoulder irritates me. Oh, yes, I wouldn't want to be doing that. Mixing with the great unwashed. Rob loves the theme tune for the Tales of the Unexpected. Gary's been watching Alfred Hitchcock Presents and Tales of the Unexpected. Used a lot of stories that were originally from that. Crikey, 99 minutes. You know, I thought, well, should I go on live today? I thought, oh, no. I mean, it always whizzes by. I don't know where the time goes when I'm doing this. I don't know why I've got both dogs up here. I don't know what you're up here for, Molly. You don't sleep up here. I've got a Dyson on the bed. I've got pants and socks. They are clean. I need to put them away. Oh dear. Home Firth at the old. Oh yes, it is one. It is an old cinema. There's a hotel next door. I work with. Been on the Last of Summer Wine tour. Yes, I have too. I only know Home Firth because I sort of went out with a chap who still lives in Home Firth. He's quite a bit older than me. Who I met somewhere, and so yes, I went on the Last of Some Wine tour. He lives in a place called the Boxing Booth, and it's down the road called Back Lane, I think. Anyway, it's sort of high up on one side, so when you look down from his place, you can sort of see the old cinema, and I think you can see the Co-op and the past Royal Mail doodah with the red vans. So yes, yes, I used to go to Home Firth a lot. But yes, there's some. If you know where the cafe is on Last of Summer Wine, on the outside shots, there's some steps, stone steps that go up. Well, if you keep going up there and along a bit, that's where my friend still lives. Well, he was my friend. We didn't fall out. We just, lost touch. Teresa's gotten a lot of stitching done on my dull. I can't read this. I don't know what's wrong with these glasses. Oh, it's better further away. I've gotten a lot of stitching done on my quilt blocks. Oh, you're making a quilt? You're sewing a quilt? Please show the Dyson. Oh, it's just I'm making a video of it. It's a new one. Well, it's new to me, but it's probably the cheapest Dyson. It's a V8. It's all these that I think it was about $250. It's got the wand and the doodah. I mean, for they seem to be cheaper than they used to be. If someone's looking for a cheap Dyson, they're all right. They're quite light and compact. But I'm not, on the whole, I'm not a fan. Am I, Daisy? I'm not a fan of Dyson. Oh no, Gary, you don't want to go to an Andre what's it concert. Every time I'm flicking through, it's always on some channel that one of his concerts. It's not really my cup of tea. What was my first concert? Teresa says. Actually, I think it probably was Barbara Dixon, but probably it was about 1980. I don't know if it's about 87 or 88, but it was a time when we'd moved up to Yorkshire. My eldest brother stayed where we used to live, where he still lives there, and about once a year I'd go down there and stop in his flat, and he'd take me to places. We'd always go to London for the day. We'd have a really long day in London. Sort of set off early on the train, and we'd go around the shops, and my brother would humour me, and he wouldn't mind going around the vacuum shops and looking at vacuums in Harrods and the big department stores, and we'd go to Swiss Cottage and other places he knew. Um, and then we'd probably go for somewhere to eat, and then normally he would have bought either tickets to the cinema or a theatre show. Um, we definitely saw Chess live, but Barbara Dixon wasn't in it, but it was early on. Saw that. Um, I seem to remember seeing the film Overboard with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. Definitely saw that in London. I can't remember the place in London where most of the stuff. There's a name. Is it Leicester Square? I can't remember. But there's an area in London where there's a lot of theatres and cinemas and stuff. It's sort of like the equivalent of Broadway, but it's in London. It's where the main ones are. But yes, you know, my brother would know his way around London very well on the underground, on the tube. So we'd have a really long day, starting off early and coming home sort of be home sort of after 11. Um, and obviously he paid for everything. I have real fond memories of him. He might be watching this now, I don't know. But thank you, Mark, if you're watching. Yes, my brother's called Mark as well as my partner, because I do have very fond memories of him taking me around London. But anyway, I say this because he bought tickets to see Barbara Dixon in a town called Crawley at a theatre called the Horth, and I think it's the first time I'd seen a live show. I can't remember much about it. The only song I remember that she sang at the time, she did a version of Chesney Hawkes' One and Only. So that's all I remember. But yeah, he got us tickets. But I was grieving at the time because distinctly remember that particular trip, because my dog Lucy, not Lucy, Solo, she was another black and tan dachshund. The day before I was due to go to March, she had some operations. They used to get they used to get mammary cysts because my mum didn't get the dog spayed. And if you don't spay a dog, they can often develop these cysts, which need to be removed. And so Solo had quite a lot. So they got rid of them. They also took out lots of her teeth. And when she came back from the vet, she was very groggy. She had all these stitches, in her tummy, and she's very groggy. And she's, I had her in my bed, and she was still very groggy. But in the morning, she was groggy. But I was due to go to my brother's, so kissed her goodbye, and I thought, oh well, when I get home, she'll be back to normal. So get down to my brother's, and I swing, from my brother's flat. He seemed a bit odd. I thought, there's something different. What's wrong with you? So I rang my dad. Um, well, I just rang my home. I didn't know if my dad answered, and I just said, "Oh, I'm here. How's Solo?" And he told me she died. So, I was absolutely devastated. She died at home. They'd given her, basically, I think they'd given her too much anaesthetic or something. They'd done too much, whatever. So I remember just being on the floor of my brother's flat, and because he's not one for showing emotion, my brother, but he cuddled me. Um, and that was, so it was bittersweet. A few days after that, we went to see the Barbara Dixon concert. But yeah, that's just see, it still affects me now. It's years and years ago. You always, if you're an animal lover, if you've lost pets, you'll know. Just thinking, it brings it back. You never forget. I just hope I'm going to meet them all again. Crikey, there'll be a lot of little sausage dogs running towards me, licking my face. But yes, so fond memories. I don't know what London's really like now. I did go there a few years ago, but I don't know how safe I'd feel in London. I could probably get my way. I could find my way around London on my own, more or less. But I wouldn't really want to do it on my own. It's a nice place to visit, London. I'd never want to live near London or in London. Not somewhere I'd want to live. Definitely not. And every time I go back down south, I'm glad I live up north. I did miss living down south when I first moved up, but it's no. I would not want to move back down. Couldn't afford to anyway. House prices down there. I think the house that we used to live in is now valued at 450,000, and it was like a mid terrace townhouse, 3 bed, 450,000. For that money up here, you could buy a 6 bedroom detached. It's ridiculous, and I wouldn't want to live. Would not want to live there. Much rather live up north. But I think I'll go in a minute. Just catch up with your comments. Do 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 do. Rob Davis. So, are you happy to be public about a bit of your life, or do you prefer to keep a bit more discreet beyond vacuums? What are the can do's and won't do's? Well, obviously, I don't. I don't reveal every single thing. I mean, it's pretty boring anyway. Um, I don't. I'm fairly open about a lot of stuff, but that's because I feel I'm just chatting to myself. Don't really feel it's. I know it is going out there publicly, but I mean, I show more stuff on this channel than I do on my main one. I try to be a little bit more. What's the word? You know, I my main channel is about vacuums mostly, and that's why people watch it. They're not really bothered about me as a person. I don't feel they're not. I don't think they are. Obviously, anyone who's watched my other channel will probably see different styles of video. Some look a lot more professional and formal, and there's others that are a bit more chatty and a bit more add a bit of humour to them. And that's not necessarily deliberate, but I do think about a different audience for that channel, because I know there are different types of people that watch it, because there are the fanatics that like vacuums, like I like vacuums, who are quite interested in all the detail and the, you know, bit of history and a bit of backstory and all that palaver. And there's others that just want a vacuum for their house, and they're not interested in, old machines. So when I'm doing vintage cleaners, I tend to pitch myself at the enthusiasts more, and when I'm doing a modern machine, I'm a little bit more formal and blah blah. So they're two different styles, but um, so I do show more personality on the vintage. You probably notice a difference in those, because I'm thinking, I have to think of my channel being successful, and you're trying to get a balance. There are some channels on there that are obviously only catering for people who are interested in vacuums mainly and just want to know all the ins and outs. So those channels, in my opinion, will not grow, because it's very, very niche. Being interested in vacuums the way I am, and a lot of people are, it's not a normal thing to be interested in that respect. It's not. It isn't. You've got to admit, it's not normal. Most people just do not think of vacuum cleaners. They don't think about vacuum cleaners at all unless they're using it and abusing it. They're not thinking of anything apart from the fact it's an appliance that it does a job. Um, so it's very niche. If I was to stick to just doing the vintage and the niche, then my channel would not have grown. So I have to add modern cleaners as well. And yes, I enjoy trying out all different cleaners. I do buy lots of vacuums and try them out, and I like to but they might not hold the interest to me like a vintage one, even from the 80s, 90s. So personally, what gets me more interested is the older ones, because although sometimes a new cleaner comes along, it's got some interesting features. It's quite fun to play about with. But I still prefer the older models because I can tell when you've handled as many vacuums as I have, you can tell the difference between something that's made 40 odd years ago to something that's made now. And there's not a lot of difference in the performance between a lot of these older machines. They might look old fashioned, but they'll still do the job. And I know that a lot of the older ones will be still doing the job years from now, and the ones available now were just not made to last. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but anyway. So yes, in that, so I was talking about revealing stuff about me personally. So yes, I am. I don't know. You'll probably see in when I do these lives. This is probably when you'll see me at my most real, because it's not rehearsed. I don't rehearse stuff, but it's not edited. When I'm doing my vlogs, they get edited. This isn't edited, and obviously I'm just chatting and I'm responding to comments. So I'm not, don't often have time to really think about stuff. I'm just sort of, I'll answer that question, blah, blah, blah. But when you're putting up a video, a vlog, like I'm just thinking about the vlogs I've done at my mum's, there's a lot of stuff that I've got to edit out because it's just too long. I think it's just, so this is, yeah, when I do these lives, this is probably the realest me you'll ever see, because yeah, I'll get emotional. Memories will be brought back, and I'll get emotional, and I might want to edit stuff like that out if I was doing another video. But I can't edit it out of this. So hopefully I come across as a real person, as an honest person, because I'm not trying to portray myself as somebody I'm not. I don't try to put on a false image of myself. I know my weaknesses. I know my strengths. I know I'm just a pretty normal person who doesn't have a very exciting life. To be, I have a comfortable life, and I am grateful that I've got a comfortable life. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the life I've been given. I'm grateful for my upbringing. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect, all singing and dancing, beautiful, wonderful. It wasn't, but compared to maybe some people's upbringings, it's I'm very blessed. I know I'm blessed. I'm lucky, but I'm lucky, but I'm grateful. And I do give thanks. I do. I've always felt I've been looked after in my life. I've always, you get times when you feel, things worry you and scare you. That's why you shouldn't watch all the media. But sometimes those things creep in and you worry about the future. And then you think, well, I've been okay so far. Something's always come along, even in times when it's bad things have happened. Something has come along just at the right time to make things better, you know. But yeah, I do consider myself to be a very, very lucky person. Um, just blessed. But I don't feel I'm arrogant about that because I know there are people that aren't as blessed. I mean, obviously, there's things I'd like, you know. I haven't got a utility room. I'd love a utility room. I'd love a detached house and all this, but it doesn't matter if I don't get that because what I have is pretty nice, when it's tidy. I've got a roof over my head. I've got food in my belly. I'm well looked after. So they're only things, I suppose. Things don't matter really in the grand scheme of things, do they? So, right, I think I better go. Folks. Let's quickly catch up. Leicester Square, that's it, Gary, where all the theatres are. Well, they're not all there, but there's a lot. They do break your heart. Dogs break your heart. Sometimes you think, is it worth the pain when you lose them? But it has to be, I suppose. You can, you can go through, you can lose a dog and then think, that's it, I can't cope with the agony of losing another. I'm not having any more dogs. And that's fine. You won't experience that grief again, but then you won't experience the joy. I mean, dogs they can frustrate you and they can be naughty, but on the whole, the joy of owning a pet, especially to me, dogs, is worth the grief, the inevitable grief. You can't avoid it. See, I'm tearing up now. You can't avoid the grief. If you love someone, or if you love a pet, and they die, you've got the grief. So, just thinking, I've got Molly and Daisy here now, just thinking about them going is making me tearful. And one day they will. I don't know how I'll cope with it, but I'll have to because I've coped with it many, many times. Many times. As long as you give those, oh, hello, darling. As long as you give those dogs a good life, you've done your bit. You're having a bit of a sneeze, my darling. Eh? I don't want I just want, especially Daisy, I would just rather she died naturally at home. It's making the decision to have her put down. I can't cope with that. I just rather that I just find her gone. That's the best way. I don't want her to go out of this house and get injected in a veterinary. I just want her to be here and just go naturally. That's what I'd like, but sadly that often doesn't happen. Um, Lots of comments about Dogs. Elliot says people are friendlier up north. Possibly. Teresa says it was quite different going from Ian's flat to other places in England. He was in Enfield, so somewhat removed but still close enough. Enfield in Middlesex. Is that Middlesex? Rob says, you're lovely and open here. This evening has been like being in a pub with friends, lots of humour. Just wish it was face to face with people like Jay Kelly and Gary Fairhead. It's been great. Gary says, I agree, Rob. Thanks for the compliments. Shame there's no pictures. I'd like to see Teresa's quilt. Not a euphemism. Mark says, we love this channel, Roger. Thank you. Rob says, definitely real, but great company too. It's been lovely. You don't need to have an amazing life, just an interesting life. Or I don't know if it's even interesting. My background was ordinary, but I've always been loved. I'm grateful. Michelle, Roger, this is an ongoing question/debate about YouTube. Is it about the views or subscribers? Monetarily meaning? Well, it's not monetarily meaning on this channel, I can assure you. Hello, Mark Forrest. Good night, says Gemma. It's been lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Gemma. Good night. Rob Davis. Who was it? Who was it that said grief is the price we pay for love? That's true. It's the yin and yang, isn't it? It's sort of the universe has to balance itself. You have the good and the bad. So yeah, there are people I'm sure out there that will just cut themselves off. They've had a bad experience. They don't want it again, so they'll cut themselves off. And sometimes I think, oh, I don't want any more dogs. I don't want, but I've always had dogs, since I was a toddler. There's always been dogs in our family. And you never feel lonely when there's a dog in the house. Because I've always said, oh, I'm never lonely. But then normally I've always had, four-legged company. So I'm quite happy on my own. I'm on my own company. I'm quite happy. I suppose he's always got the little presence of a dog normally around. But sometimes they get in your way, and when you're trying to do things, it can be annoying sometimes. But yes, I've got my Molly and Daisy here with me for some reason. Well, Daisy's always here. I'll have to finish in a minute because they'll need to go out and do their business because they're not coming back to bed without having a wee. Because they both were naughty on my mum's. Daisy weed on my bed on my mum's, and Molly was sick on it. So twice the bedding had to come off. And I think, oh yeah, Daisy was sick this morning. I woke up to that noise, and you're fast asleep and you hear that and you're like wide awake. And I thought, oh, have I got time to hold her over the toilet? But she only did a bit, and it was on my it was on a fleece throw. So I just let her do it on the fleece throw. It wasn't much. I just folded it up, put it on the floor, went back to sleep, and then I have washed it since. It has been through the washer, don't worry. Right, I'll go in a minute. Let me just finish. Gary says, I must admit I'd love a detached house with its own driveway. The privacy would be lovely. Teresa says, that's what I keep telling Ian about getting a dog for Ben. I hope we can wear him down eventually. Well, it is a commitment, getting a dog. Teresa says, there are few things better in this world than a snuggle with a doggy. And Teresa says, and we'll be here supporting you when you need us. Your sweet pups have become a part of our lives too. Gemma has a detached house that's cold. Elliot says, with an animal, it's that the love is unconditional. There's always that debate: is it love? We look at it as getting love from an animal, but is it? Sometimes I look at Daisy and think she's a user. She doesn't love. I don't know if animals, pets can love. I don't know. But Daisy knows how to butter up people and get what she wants. So she's very clever. But I don't mind, because the value I get from Molly and Daisy is priceless. I'll put up with their naughtiness sometimes. Right, I'm really going to go. Gary says, always think about pets who lose their owners. It must be devastating for them. They don't know where they've gone. The thing is, we don't know what's in dogs' minds, because when we've had lots of dogs and one's died, the other dogs, on the whole, they just carry on as normal. And I think as long as dogs are getting their needs met, they're not bothered. Because when Molly and Daisy, I took them to my mum's, they obviously didn't see Mark for 2 weeks. They just carried on as normal. I don't think they showed any pining for Mark. No, Daisy certainly wasn't. But when he came back, they were all excited to see him, and they thought, "Oh yeah, it's you." So I don't know. There are stories of dogs that sit on the graves. There's that Greyfriars Bobby, that statue in Edinburgh. There was that dog, wasn't there? Didn't he sit on his owner's grave until the dog died or something? So I suppose it could happen, but I think a dog will get over it if they find themselves in a new situation, if they've got a new owner. As long as they're getting their needs met, they'll soon realise, oh, it's just a different human. I don't think they have the capacity to they don't think like a human, so we don't know what they think, but I don't know. Teresa says, I didn't intend for my question about the concert to bring up some intense feelings, but I appreciate your shame. Well, you see, with these lives, a comment can, I can answer the comment, and then in my brain, I feel, oh yeah, just reminds me of other things, and it just naturally, it comes out. I mean, I'm not, I'm not bothered about thinking that, it's because I was thinking of the nice things, and then obviously it was coupled with a bad thing. But that's life, isn't it? It's you've got to take the good and the bad. Mark says we are the food dispensers. Yes, that could be all. That might be all we are to the dogs, because they're always wanting food. Oh, David says, my first time with you all. Thanks, Roger. Have a fab night. Thank you, David. Teresa says, Lord, when my sister went to college, my dog was beside himself. He would sit at her old bedroom door and cry for days. Ah. Audrey Forbes Hamilton, have you seen YouTube videos of Bunny the talking dog? She's learned to press buttons which speak words. It's eye-opening to see how much she understands. No, Audrey, I've not. I've not really seen any. Don't really watch many sort of animal things on YouTube. There's less to watch on YouTube, I find, at the moment. I don't know why. There's just less and less that I want to watch at the moment. So I've sort of stopped watching quite so much YouTube, and I've gone back to, watching comedies and things and getting DVDs out and looking at them. well, when I was at my mum's, I went through all Two Doors Down again. I've seen those umpteen times. Two Doors Down, that comedy. But when I'm pottering about, I'm not sitting and watching it. But when I'm pottering, I get a bit bored. I like to have something on in the background, and I don't like the radio because I don't like the music that's being presented to me. So I like to listen to mainly things I can, I know well. So in the case of Two Doors Down, I just had it on my iPad and I was doing, so it was on in the background. I wasn't sat there looking at it. I'd have not got anything done. But I was listening and chuckling along to the jokes, and I could see what was going on anyway in my head because I'd seen it so many times. So that's what I like to have on in the background a lot. Um, so it'll vary. So sometimes I'll just have a familiar program on, a familiar comedy on. Sometimes I'm in the mood for having music on in the background. But while I was at my mum's, I was mainly just listening to comedy while I was sorting through all my stuff that's stored at my mum's house. It was just would have been too boring for me if I didn't have something to listen to and chuckle along with. Although they're quite sweary in Two Doors Down, it's a bit embarrassing when my mum would come in and somebody would say the F word. But anyway, I am going to go. I'm going. Right. Well, thank you for moderating, Teresa. Thanks for everyone watching. Thanks for joining me. It was totally unexpected. I never do I never plan these lives. Sometimes I feel like having a chat with some folk who are there to listen. It's nice interacting, answering your questions, as long as they're not too many about vacuums, but I will still answer them. And nice little memories brought back. Well, some nice, some not so nice memories, but anyway, I've enjoyed it. All right. Oh, it's funny, Michelle. Oh, trying to go. Michelle, it's funny you say early doors because I've just watched all those because it's just come on iPlayer. I mean, I've got the DVD set, the box set, 2 series, and I've been watching that. And the couple, the I can't remember the names, but it's the thick couple, isn't it? They're hilarious. The bloke who keeps going on about the roadworks and his wife. They are hilarious. I can't remember the line. There was one line he was saying about his mother. It was just some anecdote he was talking about his mother, and I was creased up laughing. But I love that sort of comedy is so funny because, and Two Doors Down is funny because they're not telling jokes. That sort of comedy, it's not like telling jokes, but it's just normal, but it's so funny. It's just normal people chatting as they do. But yeah, Early Doors is very good. I did enjoy that. But yeah, that's one I've recently finished watching again. Right. Right. Okay. Everyone's saying good night, so I will say good night. Thank you for watching. As I said, I just came on here to say that I'm still here. So I've got a load of footage from my mum's. I'll need to edit together. There'll be 2 or 3 videos. I can't do it all in one. And then we'll see what happens. And then I'll be going to my mum's in 4 weeks, so there'll be more vlogs from there as well. But I've got to crack on with making videos for my other channel in that time. Must get those done as well. So thanks for joining me, everyone, and I will see you all very soon, hopefully. What do I press? This button. Bye for now.